Hi guys, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do an NG tube video, basically how I insert mine, how I have learnt to make the process more smooth, easier, quicker, less painful, and basically now I'm able to put my NG tube in just a minute or two. So I just thought I'd share the sort of things that I've learnt throughout my time wearing the NG tube, and hopefully it will be useful to anyone who is inserting an NG tube themselves, or maybe to any medical staff who want to see tips and tricks on how to make the process more comfortable for patients. So I really hope you enjoy the video and find it useful, and we'll just get stuck in. So I have my NG tube. This is just prescribed to me by the hospital, and it is a Chloroflow fine bore feeding tube. And I have my syringe, which I'll use after I insert the tube, just to check that it's in my stomach rather than my lung. I have my pH strips, which I'll also use to check that it's in my stomach and not my lungs. I have a Geoderm extra thin spots, and I'll use this to secure the NG tube to my face. And just before I put on the Geoderm spot, I'll use an alcohol wipe just to make sure it adheres properly to the skin and that there's no oil underneath it that will make the dressing not stick properly. And then I finally have some Optilube, which is a lubricant for the NG tube, which will make it go down easier. And finally I have some tissues, just because the NG tube insertion can make your eyes water and your nose run, so that's useful. And I also have a drink here just to help with the process. You'll see how I use that during the insertion. And then just before I get started, I'm just going to open up everything, because once I have the tube in, I'm going to want to adhere it to my skin quickly, rather than leaving it hanging there. So I'll just open up my Geoderm dressing and sort of have it ready. And then I'll just use my alcohol wipe just to wipe where I'm going to be placing the dressing. And this will just take off any of the oils or say makeup underneath the dressing, and it'll just make sure it really sticks to the skin. And then I'll just have a tissue out and ready in case my nose runs or my eyes water during the process, and I'll have my drink nearby. So my NG tube comes with a little metal guider. So it's just a little metal rod that goes inside the tube, and this helps to keep the tube more rigid for insertion. And then once it's inserted, you take out the metal rod and then the tube goes more flexible. So what I do first is I just open up the Optilube and stick this in and sort of twizzle it around a wee bit. Just, you want the end just covered with some of the lubricant. So basically, I've tried different techniques to insert it, and to be honest, it was painful. It would kind of like go up and then it would get stuck like right back in here, and it almost like hit like a narrowing where my nose narrowed. It would like just get stuck, and I'd really be like pushing, and there would be a lot of resistance, and then finally it would go down, but it would just be really sensitive and really kind of sore, and so I really didn't enjoy the process. It actually took me a really long time to get it in, and so say I was putting it in before work or whatever, I'd have to like factor in the time that it would take to put it in, because it did take so long to put in. So I figured out the best way to put it in, the least painful and the quickest way. And this is just from playing with different techniques and practice as well. So it will take practice to get it right. I mean, I think following the techniques that I'm going to talk about will help with the process, but also you just need to factor in that practice will also make it easier as well, and you'll learn for you what makes it less painful. But I'll show you what I do. So basically what I do is I'm going to put it in my left nostril, and what I do is I just grab this bit and I pull it down really tight so that I can feel my teeth with my fingers. So I pull it down, and I think what this does is it takes the sensitive part of your nose and sort of pulls it away from where the tube is going to be going in. But I find just whenever I do it, my nose is less sensitive, so I pull it right down. And then the temptation whenever you're putting in the tube is to just go like up, and then sort of as you feel you're getting to the top, sort of go round and then try to push it down your throat. But that definitely is where it used to sort of get stuck, and I used to face loads of resistance. So what I do now is I literally put it in like this, and I literally aim it as if I'm going to the back of my head right here. I literally just go in at that 90-degree angle, and it works so much better. So I'm going to do both of these now. So I can feel it hitting the back of my throat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to swallow it down. So I take a massive gulp, and what I do is I swallow, and as I feel the liquid going down, I just naturally let the tube go down with it. So God, let's make my the whole face water. So see the way that sort of sucked it down? And then I'll do it again. And then once you're past that sort of initial phase where it like is stuck right in the back of your throat, and you've sort of swallowed it down a bit, you can just sort of more comfortably push it down yourself. So my doctor has measured this out for me. I think anyone who's putting an NG tube should have been measured by their doctor, so I'm not going to show you how I measure it. But I basically know that there's little markers on mine, and once I get to, it says 54, I know that that should be where my nostril is. So I basically just hold it here and then bring it up and round. And I'm not crying because it's painful, I'm just crying because it's like when you sneeze or something, it just makes your eyes water. So then what I do is I just hold it where I want to put the dressing. So now I'm ready to put on my dressing, so I'll just stick that on there. And then once I have my dressing on, I kind of do hold it down because I have the metal rod still in the tube, it will try to sort of pull the tube away from your face. So what I do is I generally check whether the tube is in my stomach rather than my lung at this point, and then once I've verified that it is actually in my stomach, I pull the rod out, because I don't want to pull the rod out, realise that it's actually in my lung, and then have to restart the process all over again, taking the tube out and trying to put it back in, but this time it doesn't have the rod in it. You could always keep the rod, and then if that does happen, put the rod back into the tube and then try to reinsert it, but it's actually just easier whilst the rod is in, check it's in your stomach, and then once you're certain, then you can take the rod out. But I'm just going to take the rod out now because it keeps trying to pull this off my face and it's a bit awkward. So my dressing hasn't stuck on very well because I do have a little bit of makeup on underneath this. I usually put my NG tube in and put the dressing on before I do my makeup, but this time there is a tiny bit of makeup on underneath it, so it isn't sticking very well, but you kind of get where I'm going. Then once I'm done, I'll use my syringe and try to aspirate some stomach contents, and then I'll put it onto my pH strip, and if it turns, I think if it's less than 4.5, it depends on who you speak to, but if it has a pH of, I usually go for like 4 or less, and it has a little color code to show you. If it goes those colors, then it means that you've aspirated stomach contents and that it is actually in your stomach. So it's all good. And that's basically it. The best way to insert it is literally pull down on your lip, pull it really taut, and literally go in right as if you're going towards the back of your head, and that will make it go in really, really smooth. And then just whenever it hits the back of your throat, swallow it down. Let your natural swallow reflex pull the tube down, and then once it's in slightly, you can then start to feed it down. So usually I'm quicker at putting it in, but it's just with having to sort of talk through it and stuff, it did take a bit longer. But I can literally do this in like a minute. So I find it a good technique, and hopefully it'll help others. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful and informative. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!